We need look no further than recent headlines and news stories to understand that any encounter with law enforcement could very well end in an arrest. Constitutionally, if you are arrested, do not resist arrest. Say you wish to remain silent and ask for a lawyer. If you can't afford a lawyer, you have the right to a free one. Don't say anything, sign anything, or make any decisions without a lawyer. You have the right to make a local phone call. The police cannot listen if you call a lawyer. All right, we're going to go right to you, Professor Jeffries. Talk to us a bit about this notion of resisting arrest and how it's been used in the past to justify violence against Black and brown people. We're thinking Rodney King, George Floyd, and I'm sure there are others.
We have to acknowledge that police training and police conditioning have led police to understand what it is that they need to say in order to justify in a court of law their actions. And so one of the revelatory things that have come about from this new age of police-worn body cameras isn't that it has actually changed policing and police behavior and police misconduct. It's just revealed what they do. And so we see, for example, in Memphis, Tennessee, with Tyree Nichols, when he was pulled over, there's a moment where police are beating him and they're saying, stop resisting. And he is clearly not resisting. So why are they saying it? Because when they document it, they can then say he was resisting arrest, and therefore the use of force and the use of violence becomes justified. So they are trained and conditioned to say that in that moment. In the same way as police are trained and conditioned to say that they felt threatened by the person who they were encountering, and therefore the use, because the Supreme Court says if a police officer feels reasonably threatened that their life is in danger, that they therefore can justifiably use lethal force. And so we see that after the fact, saying almost immediately, we saw with Mike Brown and the officer in Ferguson, Missouri. This was a hulking individual. I mean, he was super strength and all this other stuff to justify their actions. And so we have to be careful and mindful of the ways in which police will immediately use these things, even in the moment. I see a gun. And people are like, what do you mean? You stop moving for your moving for your waistband. And people are like, what do you mean? I'm not doing anything. They're saying that because the courts have said if they can establish that in the moment, then their actions will be justified.
Do you think it's safe during a police encounter to remain silent, as we just said?
I think it's important.
It's the easiest
right?
thing you can do.
It's the one thing that you can do, because the hardest, most challenging thing, in that position, in that moment, is actually to speak up, right? And so one of the things, and to say, well, officer, you don't have a right to do this, is like, no, I'm not saying that. I'm going to remain silent, right? Am I free to go? Whatever it is, but it's almost easier that position to sort of move into that position of silence than it is anything else. And that's critical. Again, it may not save you. It may not prevent you from getting arrested, but hopefully it'll save your life. We want you to do the things that you have a constitutional right to do, but there is no guarantee that the bottom line is if the police officer is intent on arresting you,
He gonna do it.
He's gonna do it, or she's gonna do it, right? They're gonna do it. But if the officer is intent, and this is just the way American jurisprudence is, if the officer is intent on arresting you, you will be arrested.
I just want to add one thing that I think is really important that Professor Jeffries said. Ask for a lawyer. I think that was a critical thing that kids learned in school, that if you ask for an attorney, then someone at least can speak for you. But you're going to be arrested. Hopefully that's okay. Not that it's okay. It can work out. There's due process. I'm not saying the system is right, but the most powerful word someone can say after remaining silent is, I want an attorney. And kids should know that.